Hey guys, welcome back. Some games don't just lay everything out for you. Sure, there's the main storyline, but if you dig a little deeper, there are hidden stories tucked away in the details, waiting for you to find them. Whether it's through clues in the environment, random items, or even little side quests, these games challenge you to piece together a story that's way bigger than it seems at first glance. Let's dive into some of the best games where the real adventure is in uncovering the secrets they hide. When it comes to Dark Souls Remastered, you could easily make 1,000 lists of all the hidden stories scattered throughout the game. Seriously, if you thought the main plot, where you play as an unnamed knight, is confusing, the hidden stories take it to a whole new level of mystery. To be honest, the main plot itself feels like one of these hidden stories. Let's face it, director Hidetaka Miyazaki is known for crafting some of the most intricate, cryptic narratives in gaming. The guy's a master at making players work for the story, and Dark Souls is no exception. Every single detail in the game, whether it's a casual line from an NPC or some seemingly insignificant item description, has layers of meaning just waiting to be uncovered. It's like the game dares you to pay attention, to dig deeper. And by digging deeper, I mean spending countless hours watching YouTube lore videos. Because let's be real, who's solving this puzzle solo on their first run? What's really brilliant is how these hidden stories add richness to the world. The game doesn't spoon-feed you the lore. Instead, it's like a giant puzzle where each piece is buried in gameplay, scattered across item descriptions, NPC interactions, or even the way certain enemies behave. If you're willing to explore every nook and cranny, you'll discover some truly mind-blowing connections between characters and events. It's this layered storytelling that gives Dark Souls its unique charm. You're not just playing a game, you're unraveling a mystery woven into the world itself. And that's the beauty of it. Everyone's experience with Dark Souls is different. Some players will breeze past the lore, focused on just surviving the brutal combat. Others, though, will take the time to piece together these hidden stories, and for them, the game becomes so much more than just fighting bosses. It's about understanding the tragedy of fallen kingdoms, the desperation of its characters, and the slow, inevitable decay of everything around you. So if you're the kind of player who enjoys diving into a world that doesn't reveal itself easily, Dark Souls Remastered is a goldmine of hidden stories waiting to be discovered. But fair warning, you're probably going to need some outside help from lore experts, and that's perfectly okay. Gone Home is a game that's all about uncovering hidden stories, and it's not just the main plot that keeps you hooked. You step into the shoes of Caitlin, who returns home to find her family house eerily empty. Your main goal is to figure out what happened to your sister Sam by exploring every corner of the house. But as you dig deeper, you quickly realize there's more going on than just Sam's disappearance. While you're uncovering Sam's story, the game also slowly reveals another hidden subplot, the strained relationship between your parents, Terrence and Janice. At first glance, their story seems like background noise, but it's actually layered with emotion and complexity. Through subtle clues like salon bills or a stack of Terrence's unpublished books, you start to piece together their troubled marriage. Terrence, a once promising writer, is struggling with his career, feeling stuck in a rut, which leads him to neglect Janice. In turn, Janice finds comfort elsewhere, specifically in a colleague. What's really fascinating is how Gone Home tells this story entirely through objects scattered around the house. You won't find any direct conversations or human interactions. It's just you and the environment, slowly revealing everything as you dig through their personal belongings. One powerful moment is discovering how the couple tries to save their relationship by going on a trip, which is really a last-ditch effort at a couple's retreat. The game doesn't spell things out for you. You're left to connect the dots, making every discovery feel more personal. The beauty of Gone Home is in the way it handles storytelling. It's a game that makes you feel like a detective, not through flashy dialogue or dramatic cutscenes, but by immersing you in a world where every object has meaning. The quiet house becomes a character in itself. And as you explore, you can't help but feel the weight of what each family member has been going through. It's a haunting, emotional experience that shows how much power can be packed into the smallest details. If you're someone who loves a good mystery, Gone Home will have you hooked from start to finish. Not just because of Sam's story, but because of all the hidden layers waiting to be uncovered. What Remains of Edith Finch is a game that's all about diving into the hidden, tragic stories of the Finch family. Believe me, they're not your typical family. Each room in their house feels like a time capsule, carefully preserved to reflect the life of the person who once lived there. It's like walking through a museum of memories, with each space revealing more about their fates, some of which are heartbreaking, others just plain eerie. You'll encounter moments like a swing set that seems innocent at first, but soon reveals the story of a tragic accident, or a child's room that looks like it's frozen in time, left untouched after they mysteriously disappeared. You're left to connect the dots and figure out what happened, and every object you interact with adds another layer to the story. What makes this game so engaging is that it doesn't just hand you the narrative on a silver platter. Instead, you're rewarded for paying attention to details and exploring every nook and cranny. The more you dig, the more the Finch family's dark and twisted history unfolds. It's not just a game you play, it's a story you live through, one that stays with you long after the credits roll. The Last of Us Part 1 already grips players with its deeply emotional narrative, but if you pay close attention to the world around you, there are even more heartbreaking stories hidden in the details of its environment. A perfect example of this is found in the suburbs. When you arrive here, you'll come across the remnants of a small community that once tried to survive underground, but now the area is infested with clickers. The story of this place isn't laid out for you. It's something you piece together from clues scattered around, like notes and letters left behind by the people who lived there. One of the central figures you'll learn about is Ish, a man who survived at sea for a while before deciding to return to land. He found shelter in the sewers and started building a safe haven for himself and others who stumbled upon it. Other survivors, even families with children. And for a brief moment, they managed to create a functioning little community down there. They had rules to maintain order, systems for collecting water, and even guidelines for keeping the kids safe. But here's the gut-wrenching part. One small, simple mistake shattered all of that. Someone left a door open, and that was all it took for the infected to get inside. In an instant, everything they had worked to build fell apart. You're left imagining the horror of it all, knowing that only a few, including Ish, made it out alive. It's a moment that's not directly shown in the game, but the clues paint a vivid and tragic picture. This kind of environmental storytelling in The Last of Us is what makes the world feel so real. It's not just about Joel and Ellie's journey. Every corner of the game is filled with lives that were lived and lost, often in ways you can only imagine. That's what makes exploring so rewarding, but also so devastating. You find these hidden stories, and they add layers of emotion that hit you even harder, knowing that so many people in this world are fighting the same hopeless battle for survival. In Red Dead Redemption 2, the game is packed with hidden stories just waiting for curious players to uncover. One of the most unsettling has to be the mystery surrounding the strange man's cabin. Tucked away deep in the woods, this cabin has a creepy, almost supernatural atmosphere from the moment you step inside. There's a painting in the cabin, and at first, it looks like an empty canvas. But as time passes, the portrait starts to paint itself, slowly revealing a figure. When the painting is finished, it shows the strange man, a character that longtime fans might recognize from Red Dead Redemption. And here's where things get even weirder. If you look closely at the mirror in the cabin, you can catch a glimpse of him standing right behind you. It's a seriously spine-chilling moment, and one that seems to tie back to the strange man's encounter with John Marston in the first game. A lot of fans have speculated about who or what the strange man really is. One of the most popular theories is that he represents death itself, showing up in the lives of those who are nearing their end. When you think about how often death and mortality are major themes in Red Dead Redemption 2, this theory feels like it fits perfectly with the game's deeper narrative. But that's what makes RDR2 so amazing, the layers of mystery and hidden stories that you can completely miss if you're not paying attention. This eerie cabin isn't just a random creepy moment, it's a connection to the broader story that spans both games, adding another layer of depth to the world Rockstar has built. For players who love diving into hidden lore, The Strange Man's Cabin is a perfect example of RDR2's genius in creating a world that feels truly alive and full of secrets. Oxenfree is a game that thrives on eerie vibes and supernatural mysteries, but one hidden story really stands out, the chilling tale of the USS Kanaloa. When you're exploring this strange, seemingly haunted island, one of the coolest mechanics is tuning into different radio frequencies. You're not just listening to random static either. Some of these frequencies broadcast messages straight from the past, giving you clues about what happened long before you arrived. If you dig deep enough, you'll uncover the haunting backstory of the USS Kanaloa, a submarine that met a tragic end. The official story might tell you the crew was lost at sea, but the truth is, Way darker than that. These sailors didn't just disappear. They were trapped in some kind of alternate dimension, and now they're stuck, doomed to roam the island, desperately trying to escape and return to the real world. What's even more unsettling is that these trapped souls start interacting with you, as if you're their way out. The game really makes you question what's real and what's part of the supernatural force that's messing with time and space. You're not just uncovering a piece of history, you're becoming part of their unfinished story. The deeper you go, the more tangled it gets, and you start to realize that some doors might be better left closed. In Firewatch, you're dropped into the breathtaking wilderness of Wyoming, where your job as a lookout seems peaceful at first. But don't be fooled by the beauty. There's a much darker hidden story waiting to be uncovered. As you explore, you start finding clues about a boy named Brian, the son of Ned Goodwin, the guy who used to be in your position. Brian was just a kid, but he left behind plenty of signs of who he was. School notes, toys, even tools tied to his passion for role-playing games and climbing. These little discoveries add a personal, almost haunting touch to the story, pulling you deeper into the mystery. But here's the heartbreaking part. Brian wasn't an experienced climber, and as you dig around old campsites and abandoned shelters, you piece together that he tragically died in a climbing accident. It's a gut-wrenching moment, especially because it leads to a revelation about Ned. Overcome with guilt for what happened to his son, Ned couldn't face the consequences. Instead of seeking help or coming to terms with the accident, he chose isolation, hiding away from the world, living off the grid in the middle of nowhere. This story, while subtle and easy to miss if you're not paying attention, adds a layer of tragedy and human emotion that makes Firewatch so much more than just a hiking simulator. It's a game that asks you to dig deep, literally and emotionally, to uncover the full picture. And when you do, it's a powerful reminder that sometimes the hardest stories to find are the ones worth discovering. In Life is Strange, there are so many hidden stories that you'll miss if you just rush through the game without paying attention to the details. Take Dana, for example, one of the students at Blackwell Academy. On the surface, she might seem like just another side character, but when you get the chance to go into her room to grab a simple flash drive, the game gives you the opportunity to explore more than just that. As you snoop around her space, you begin to uncover pieces of her life that hint at something much deeper. Dana is pregnant, and Logan, another student, could be the father. You'll come across books on parenting, a heartfelt note from Logan trying to be supportive, and of course, the real kicker, her positive pregnancy test. But their situation is far from simple. Their relationship has layers, and it's not something that's just handed to you outright. What's really cool about Life is Strange is that it rewards players who take the time to dig a little deeper. In Dana's case, if you keep paying attention and follow up on later conversations, you'll get more glimpses into how things evolve for her. It's up to you as the player to connect the dots and really flesh out these stories, making the game's world feel more alive and personal.